Hi everyone, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we're going to work on a necklace from my Design Ambassador kit from Jesse James Beads. And we're going to use the Coral Sea glass strand and some of my Flamingo Party Summer Fun kit. So I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you enjoy it, and let's turn down and get to work. Thanks. Okay. We have the Coral Sea glass strand, and we have what's left after I've made a few pair of earrings of the Flamingo Party kit. But there's quite a few things in here. And I have a few, a ring and a couple of connectors over here, because we're going to use these in our necklace. Let me show you what I plan. Got this necklace here. We're going to have the square connectors up here with the round one here, a dangle, 2 bead strands, and then some chain, which I'm going to put to wire wrap some crystals on. Now I'm not sure if we have enough, but if we do, I might put a little strand of crystals between these pieces here. Anyway, let's get to work. First thing we're going to need to do is separate these beads all out and cut this strand. So let's get the beads out of the packet. These two are definitely going to be used. I'm not sure we're going to use the tassels, so I'm going to put them in the little box right now, as well as these. I think I might use these on a bracelet. We'll see. So we have these. Oh, this should be, there it is. We also have these little flowers. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these. But the thing that I'm looking for is to see how many of these little crystals we have, the little pink ones. I don't think we're going to use the wood in this necklace either, so we're going to put it aside. Have these beautiful bicones and some bronze, antique bronze bead caps. There's a couple more of these little pink ones. There's one more. Green ones. Now we want to use all of these colors in this necklace because we want it to be a really fun spring or summer necklace with all the pretty pastel colors. Of course, they're just going to be interspersed mainly with the pink since we're going to be using this. Now the thing I want to check is to see if I have the crystals that will if I have enough crystals to go across. Well, definitely with the 2 here I do. But I think we're going to be a little shy here. It looks like we could have used 1 more. But we could put some spacers in and take care of that problem. But we'll see what we're going to do. Of course, the next thing we want to do is cut apart our bead strand. So let's cut that off. Get these all off of it. Now one thing I always do is I keep the card, at least the description part of the card, and if I have beads left over, then this little description will go in the dish with the remainder of the beads so that I know exactly what set they are. So we'll set that aside. Now this big one for sure is going to be part of the dangle. And then we'll put these other two within the bead strands coming down to the ring. So let's see if we can get these pushed aside a little, apart a little more, so we can get this going. So in doing this, we want to pull this down here. Can we still see it? Nope, just barely. So let's get it up here a little higher. And these are barely in, aren't they? So let's get them, but we want to put them to the side because they're going to, because I need to design this here. So let's put them over here a bit. So we have some room to work. Now let's separate these out so that we can see what we have here in this, from this bead strand. There's a couple more of these and they actually match the other bicones perfectly. We have some more little crystal spacers. Two darker, some daisy spacers, and some bead caps, and then these two. So we've got these big beads and we have this one. Now this one is going to connect to the ring here as the dangle. So say we want these in here. And I'm thinking maybe we'll put, let's see, will that give us enough? It might just give us enough with that little spacer in there. So, and then these will go up either side. Oop, don't lose our little beads. So we want those inside there. And now we have to decide what beads are going to be within our bead strands. Okay, so I think we'll have this one up here, but then we're going to want some of these colored ones in here to give it the consistency we're going to put up the other side. So let's also put one of these here. Unfortunately, we only have 4, so with the one in the dangle, we will not have enough to put one on either side of those. So instead, maybe we'll use one of these pinks. Now the question is, how deep do we want this bead strand to go? Do we want just a few inches, a little more? So that's one of the things we have to think about as we're designing this. Let's see here. Maybe this guy here. Are these here? And of course down here to keep the consistency going. We'll put the little green here so it matches down below exactly here. And then we have to make the decision of what goes up the top. So I think we'll put, since we have 3 more of these greens, we'll put a couple more here. Then maybe one of these big bicones. One of the small blues. And then we have to make the decision, do we have enough here, or do we want maybe one more? And if we go with one more, what one more do we want to use? I'm thinking I'm going to put one of these marguerites between these two. Oh, come on, baby, don't argue with me. So pulling that pink down into there. And then because I want the consistency, we'll put one down in the dangle as well. And then we still have a few beads left, and we have to decide what we want to do with those. Do we want to do anything at all, or do we have this made up well enough? I'm thinking we have it made up well enough. Maybe one more small bead, but what will it be? Maybe this. I think that's good. I like that. So let's now think of what we're going to use for spacers, because, well, I have a spacer thing. It has to have spacers. Some of them, of course, we have already got spacers in. But I'm deciding what we want to do here. Okay, well, first of all, let's put away these beads we're not going to use into the little case here. Actually, I want to leave the little green ones out. I'm going to use those in the chain so that we have pull that green into the chain. And maybe a couple of these little blue ones as well. So we'll leave those out here. We'll put the other ones in. We're going to put this coral sea tag in here so that we know that I have a few coral sea things in here. I'm going to put that in there as well. And then we'll set this aside. Now we have to decide if we want to use any of these spacers. These were actually around the bigger beads. It's too bad we don't have 6. I'd put them on either side of the marguerite, I think. Whoop, 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 don't pop out of my hand. Though I think I will do that up here. And I will go through some of my things and see if I have another 2 that I can find in my other bead strands. Since we're using a lot of gold, I don't think I'm going to use these antique bronze bead caps, even though I really like them, but we'll save those for another project. Okay, I have gone into some of my stuff, and I don't think these have the bead caps I want, but they might have something. This is the gold part of the Shot to the Heart set, and ooh, these are pretty. We have some little roses here. I think I'll use those between these two. Since my name is Rosanna, which is actually, I have this, is my daddy always called me Rose, so this is good. And I'm going to use 2 of these crystal rondelle spacers on either side of the bicones, I think. So we'll put those over there, and then this is an extra one. We'll put it away. So now we have a spacer between a golden piece between each of the beads. Yes, except for this marguerite. So I still need to see if I can find a set of bead caps for this marguerite. So let's get looking. In the meantime, we'll put the rest of these away since they don't have any of my bead caps I want in here. And we'll stop and go look for some bead caps. Okay, I've discovered this set of beads. I think this is one of the white card ones, which I do not believe even has a name on it. No, I don't see one. They come from, this is the Walmart collection, but as you can see, it does have the bead caps I want on it. So I'm going to cut this apart, and then we'll put these in a dish. But I'm going to get these two spacers out of here. And those will go on the marguerite here. I love it when I can find some of the pieces I need in a different bunch of stuff, but always good. Since this does not have a title on it, I will just put these aside in a dish without a title card. Okay, let's get these beads in a dish. I tend to keep them separated like this in their own little dish. And then I have a whole bunch of these little bottles on a shelf right above my head. So now, that'll join them. Now I need to decide what kind of, what I'm going to use soft flex wire. I believe you can get most of the, I don't know that you get most of them, but a good number of the colors at Jesse James Beads that soft flex has. And, but we're going to, of course, put this piece on a wire dangle. And of course we have to wrap the little beads inside the connectors. So I think we need to do the wire wrap here and in the connectors first so that they won't be in our way. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and keep this set up like this so we don't mess up our pattern. So we need to get some smaller wire. I'm probably going to wire wrap with 22 or 24. I like 22 because it's a little heavier and it doesn't have as much give. Okay, I've pulled some 20, 22, and 24 gauge wire. First thing I'm going to do is with the 22, excuse me, this is the 20. We're going to, I always wrap my, when I take these out of the blister packs, I try to always wrap the gauge around the spool of wire so that I never have to second guess on what it is. We're going to set that aside because we want to do our little ones first. And I'm thinking we're going to try it first with the 22, and if that's a little bit too unwieldy, then we will switch over. So we need to get a length of the 22 out and get started on these. Okay, so we'll pull out some of this 22, and I think I want to get enough probably to do both. So let's get that and cut it loose here. Oops, knocking the beads about. But we'll start by getting our little wire component, this little component here. Where'd that other little pink bead roll to? There it is. Now we want to wrap it around one side. I tend to always leave a slight tail when I start and until I am finished stringing, because the wire will try and roll on you otherwise. So I always try and do at least 3 wraps so that okay. Now these are going to be a little loose, it looks like. So I'm debating now, how loose is it going to be? Do I need to put a spacer, some spacers in there, or will it be all right without? I think it will probably be all right without, so let's go through here. Come on, baby, get over here to this other side. There we go. I try to keep my finger in the wire as I'm pulling it around to help keep it from kinking up. Okay, now we have this in here. We can push this around some, and I think we'll be good. We could have used a spacer, but it's all right without it. Now we'll trim these wires and tuck them. Now this particular wire needs to be trimmed a little more because it's hanging off the side, and you want to make sure you're not going to scratch anybody. So we'll just clip it just a teeny bit more and tighten it back up again. I want it to be about in the middle of this bar here so that it's not going to be standing at the very edge, so that that edge is right there against somebody's skin. Much better. There we go. So, and now she's pretty well stabilized in spots, so she is ready to go. Now we'll take what's left of the wire, straighten it out, and we'll do the other side. So, come here, baby. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing this, I will just push it through one side more and just do all of the wraps on the one side first, and that will keep this wire where you want it. In you go, baby. That way you don't have to pull it up and try and get it to go through the bar. You've already got it there, as you can see here. Now we'll put the beads on and wrap the other side. When you squish it down like I did to squish the tail in place, it also reinforces its on its piece so that it doesn't roll around so much. So now go up and get these 3 wraps in. Oops, don't push it too high. As you can see, I'm keeping my finger in there, and that way when it pulls around, it goes around my finger and it keeps it from kinking so much. So there's our 3 wraps on this side. Now we'll cut it and trim them. Well, I should say trim them and then tuck them. Let's get this one, make sure we're in the middle of this bar this time instead of over to the one side. And push the wire, and I think that one's a little bit further in than I want it, so we'll take it down a little bit. Unfortunately, I've damaged these clippers. As you can see, there's a I used them on stainless steel. Bad idea. Don't use your good clippers on stainless steel. Push the wires together and tighten them up. Now we want this to be pretty even, so let's get her down where we want her, and there, the second one is done. Now to do the last one, which is on the ring here. So we will pull this up. Do the wraps on this side. Make sure you give yourself enough room. 1, 2, and 3. Tighten. Push these together. I always use my thumbnail. Well, that's not true. I just used my pliers a second ago, didn't I? But I tend to use my thumbnail, and that's why my thumbnail usually has a little divot in it, which I of course file off occasionally, but you'll rarely see me having polish or something on because my fingernails are usually pretty racked out from doing wire work. So let's get these on here. We'll see if this is going to be enough with this spacer. If not, then maybe we'll have to get the other spacer out and put it beside it. Oh, we definitely need another. So let's get another one out. Did we have one daisy spacer left? Let's see, did we? No, but we did have one of these. Oh yes, we did have a daisy spacer. But I think we'll get out both the daisy spacer and this little green bead and see which is going to work better. So I'm thinking the green bead probably, since we have quite a gap there. But if we're going to do that, we're going to take and do the 2 pink, the crystal, the green. Well, let's see if we take out the 2 crystals and just leave all the beads in, how that will work. That will work. We'll do it that way. So we'll put these 2 crystals rondelle spacers back in the box, and we will finish our wire wrapping. But it looks like this wire needs to start from the other side, so we will go through. Keep your finger in place and then pull it up and around. Remember to get it good and tight. If you need to, you can take your pliers and give it a wee bit of a pull just to make sure you do have it tight. Don't get up to where you know your wire is going to stay at though, because you will mar it. And last. Okay, now that we have those nice and tight, we will get our beads strands cut and clip them off. Now if you're wondering why I'm lifting this a little bit in order to cut it, it's so that I get it more in the middle of the ring so that we don't have it hanging over the edge. So now that we have this ring done, we'll go here and we will need to put this in place. I've got a ball head gold head pin here, and we're going to see if it's going to be long enough to do our dangle on. If it's not, then we will get the wire out and use the wire. Looks like it's a wee bit bent here. Let's get it. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I have enough space here. So now that we have that on there, oh, that's going to be pretty. We will just put this onto here. And to do this, I am going to make a wire wrapped loop and just simply loop it on to the ring. In order to do that, we want to take our pliers and make a bend. Then I'm going to use my bell making pliers, wrap it around. Oops, don't drop it. Bring it back, pull it over here, and then we're going to put it onto our ring and hold it. Oh, come on, baby. Well, I don't have it over here enough. I want this wire to come all the way over here where the curve is at here. Now we'll hold it in place while we bring our wire around. Now if you need to, get another pair of pliers to finish this wrap. I tend to like to hold this side. When it gets small, it's sometimes easiest to simply roll your pliers around with that little piece of wire. Now that we've got that close, let's cut that off and then we'll be done with putting this in place. Oh, where's its end here? There it is. So let's clip this piece, being careful not to catch anything else, and then tuck it. And there we have our dangle and our ring. Let's get that straightened a little bit. And now the next thing to do is to string the beads up the sides of the, and hook them onto these. Now I have to decide what color of soft flex wire I want. I'm probably going to use a pink. But we will go and find my pinks, though I also have a lovely turquoise that would work. But let's make that decision here. Okay, let's use some of this pretty pink tourmaline color. And we'll need to get 2 pieces out, and then we'll crimp them on to the, and I'm going to cut probably a lot more than I need here, about this much. Let's see how much that is. That looks to be about 8 or 9 inches. I think 8 should probably do it. So let's clip it off there at the 8. And we will now crimp this onto the ring above the bead strand. Now these are soft flex crimps as well. They're about the only thing I ever use unless I'm using a beadalon. But those 2 are the only brands of crimps I will use, because I used to use the cheaper ones and they'll break. These rarely will break, and it takes a whole heck of a lot of maneuvering to get them to do so. Now I'm going to either use a magical crimper. If you see, it has a divot in here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. And you put the crimp right into the crimp tube right into that little divot and squish. And then it makes a little square. So you turn it around, put it back in the divot, squish it some more, and then squish it like 3 or 4 times. And it will make like a little bead. And just give it the tug test. It passed with flying colors. So now we'll string on and see if these beads will go through 2 wires. If not, then we'll have to clip off the one. Looks like that's going to be just fine. I am going to clip it right here so that it doesn't have to try to go through anything else. Now we're going to string the marguerite on with its bead caps on either side. The blue, daisy spacer, and this big crystal. And now we've got this pattern that's the same as our piece down here. Now we'll go on. You know, I was going to put this one here, but I think I'm going to put this pretty gold one here, because these 2 new beads are pretty good sized. So I think the spacing will be better for it like that. There we go. This one, green. Now we want the crystal spacers with the bicone on either side. The little blue one, this really pretty gold flower that I took out of the shot to the heart, and then this last one here, and that side is strung. Now we need to just put the spacer on, the crimp on, and then these have a little hole in either side, so we'll want to go through the hole. Pull up here. Nope, it didn't go in the crimp. Now I'm going to drop this other extra string into this bead and pull it up. Now when you do this, make sure that you've left yourself a little space, not a lot, because you don't want it to have big gaps, but you do want some flexibility in your necklace. So let's give it some bend. It's fine. So now we need to crimp this. Okay, so now we need to crimp these babies in place. Turn around. Oh, come on, sweetie. Tug test. That's good. Ooh, I think I may have left more wire in there than I wanted. Well, we'll see. Okay. Now we do have some flexibility, and that's what we wanted, so that's good. And now it's time to go and do the other side. Okay, so we need about the same amount of wire. That aside, we don't need it anymore, but I do need a new package of crimp tubes. These are the 2x2 gold soft flex crimp tubes. I do not believe JC James carries these, so you would need to use either the Beadalon or order them from soft flex. So we need 2 of these out. 2, and we'll set those aside. And now we want to crimp this new wire onto the other side here and string the beads up the other side. Okay. See that we got these about the same. I think this needs to be a little tighter on this side. Okay. I can tell you that you have to have at least 2 wires in one of these in order for the magical crimper to crimp down tight. Now let's tug again, and now we got to string our beads on. And now we want to hook it on to this piece here. Now, since the other side is all set, we got to make sure that we have this one going the right way. So we want to go in through here and down this side and through here and tighten her up. Now let's make sure we've got it right before we tighten the wires up. Oh, you came out. Gotta stay in there, baby. Okay, this is good, this is good. Okay, now we just need to crimp this, and this is done other than making the chain and putting it on in place. Okay, that's good. Our little crimp bead good and tight. Now tug test. And this time we're holding. So then we'll cut this extra wire off. And this section is done. We just need to make the chain to hang it on. And so let's set this aside and get working on the chain. Some gold, nice gold Figaro chain. As you can see, it's got a little, and then a little figure 8. And then I have these beads here, which I'm going to split this chain and put it in these inside, 2 greens and 1 blue on either side. The first thing we have to do is measure this to see how long we want the chain to be. So this is about 6 inches per side, a little less, so that's 12 inches. So now we have to decide how long we want our necklace to be. I usually am making mine about 20-24 inches. So we will need about 12 inches of chain probably. Okay, I've cut some chain and I've cut almost 13 inches. And I will probably shorten that because I want it to be about that length, but when we add the clasp and then we put the beads in, we won't need that much. So I'm going to actually cut off about 2 inches of this, and then I'm going to cut it in half. So let's cut some off. We'll put that aside. And then we're going to have to figure out where the halfway mark on this chain is. So I'm going to get my, I tend to take my reamer and put it through the chain ends, and then I can hold it up and see where we're ending at. And it looks like this little Figaro right here is where we're going to cut her in half at. Okay, now we have 2 pieces of chain a little over 5.5 inches in length. Break the chain in some places and we're going to insert these beads. 2 green ones and a blue one on either side, like this. That will pull the chain color in from the necklace, and it will add the length we need, and then we'll get a clasp to put on that. Okay, so our next step is to decide where exactly we want to break this chain at to put in the crystals. So I'm thinking about where I've got them sitting at. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll trim right here. Now, because this is a Figaro chain, we're going to need to trim twice because the little trims are stuck on both sides of the big loops. So there's one. So since we're going to do them identical, let's get the other side trimmed as well. So we said 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the big links. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the big links. And we'll trim here and cut that extra little bit of chain off here. Now we have this spot, and we'll put this, we're going to wire wrap this one into here. Then we're going to do to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think we will do it at 6 and then 6 again to the next green one, and then whatever's left will be whatever's left. 6, so here. Let's see here, come here. Let's get that little bit off of there. Okay. Now 6 more links for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here. And then this will go up the back, and thus we need to trim a little bit more off, which is always a possibility because we never know. Come on, baby. If we are going to want to shorten it some more again. Okay, now this piece is done, and now we want to cut the others. Now 6 and 6 for the other side here. We have some 22 gauge wire here. We want to cut a little piece. And then we're going to make these relatively small loops because we are going to wrap them directly in, and this wire chain is rather delicate, so we don't want to go overboard with it. Now I would have used some chain reaction on this, but I didn't have any that was a blue and gold that I really, or any of the, or green or pink even, that would match up well enough. I do have some blue, but it's not a good color. It wasn't I didn't like it as far as matching up. But if you had some that matched good, a chain reaction would be perfect for this, rather than having to make your own little bits of crystal chain. Come on out. Now put the other piece of chain in. Grab it with your pliers and wrap. I like at least 3, if not 4 wraps, if I can get them. Looks like I'm going to be close to 4 on this side. I only put 3 on the other side. And trim this off. Be careful when you're trimming that you don't trim excess, because I have before and it's not great when you discovered you just cut your ring in half or something like that. Okay. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, this is the, okay. And now we'll just continue making wire wrapping in here. So next one. Straighten your wire some. Do the bend. Put your pliers in, wrap it around. Good. put your chain on. Chain, go on. There we go. Hold your loop. Wrap. Trim. And tuck. Put on your bead. Bend. Now make sure you're going in the same direction. And wrap around. Put in your wire. Hold. Oop. And then wrap. 2, 3, and 4. And trim. Like I say, be careful though, you don't want to trim something you don't want to trim. Go, put that aside and tuck. Now we have this much chain done. We have to do this next green one, and then this side is finished. And then we need to do the other side. The wire pretty straight. The bend. Put the pliers on. Wrap it around. Make sure it's straight the way you want it. There we go. Put it on the chain. Pull it down into the loop. Now sometimes if you pull these loops pretty tight, you may end up having to loosen it a little bit so that you can get the extra wire in there. And that's okay. Now that we hold it and wrap. Oops. I think I have got my wrap over the top of itself. Yes, I did. So let's pull that back out and go over again. There we go. 3. And oh, and it wants to go over itself again. Not good. Okay, there we go. That's good. Can tighten that a little bit. I tend to use my thumbnails a lot when I'm tightening things. Now trim the wire carefully. There have been a few times I haven't paid attention when I'm trimming and have actually cut the base wire or the loop in half, and that's no fun. So now put the bead on. Do the turn. Get your pliers in. Wrap around. Straighten that up a bit. Now get the last piece of chain on. And come on, babe, in you go. Okay. Now we need to hold that while we wrap this around. And wrap. 1, 2, 3. And this one I did a little bit closer, obviously, because we only got 3 wraps on that side, but that's fine. Now we need to trim this extra wire. Watching what we're doing all the time. Come on, baby. And tuck it down in. And there is the one side of the chain done and ready to go on the necklace. Now we need to do the other side. So we'll get some more wire out and we'll get started on the other side. Okay, now that we have the two chains done, we can put some of this away. And we need to bring the necklace back in, and we will attach the chains to the connectors with a couple of jump rings. So, here is our necklace back. And we will connect this here. Want to put the chains onto the necklace, and to do that I've got some oval jump rings, and then we also want to put on the clasp, and I have chosen a magnetic clasp. This is a super strong little clasp. I can't pull it apart just by my bare hands. I have to have pliers, or it has to be hooked onto something. These are called super magnets. They're very strong. So this is what we're going to use for the closure. But first thing we need to do is put the chains on to the necklace. You'll need 2 pair of pliers to open your jump rings. Remember, you want to open from side to side. So get hold and twist. Then we'll put it on through this hole on the connector and through the bottom link of the chain. And then just close her back up with, again, another side-to-side motion. Making sure it's closed all the way. So this side now has its chain, and we need to put the chain on the other side. Now this one doesn't feel like it closed all the way, so if that happens, just twist them a little bit side to side with light pressure, pushing up until they do connect properly. And there we have the chains on, and the next thing will be to put on our clasp. So we get, again, our oval jump rings and open them up from side to side. Now if you prefer round jump rings, that's fine. I just prefer the oval because they open on the side where the so the pressure on them is not on the bottom. Come on, you. Behave. Let me get my pliers in there. So the pressure is not on the brake usually, because things will fall down more to where there we go. To the bottom where the brake is on the side, and then the weight of the piece will keep it from going into the actual groove. So we'll get this last piece on here. Let go, baby. get it in place. Check it out, make sure it's good and okay, it needs to be fixed just a teeny touch. There we go. Okay. All right, and now our necklace is finished. So you can see, whoop, I've got it upside down here. And there we go. That's it. And I will turn us around and we will look at it better. Okay, and here we go with the finished necklace. Put it on a bust for us here. And I really think this turned out good. I hope you guys liked it. Most of these beads, as I said, is from Jesse James Beads, where I am one of their design ambassadors, and this is one of my necklaces from their June Design Ambassador Kit, which features the bead strand Coral Sea and the mix Flamingo Party in their Summer Fun mixes. Anyway, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.